Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dad Talk Today. We're going to be talking about a subject tonight that a lot of people, I honestly got to say, I believe are afraid to speak about it. I've had messages, Eric, be careful. They're going to cancel you over this and everything. And you know what, guys? I think that's part of the reason why this has gotten to where it is. Too many people are afraid to talk about it and issue this issue that is what it is. And we know that it's an issue, but the problem with it, just like we talk about, when I posted this and said, all it takes is one accusation to completely ruin somebody's reputation and make them lose everything they can. You got to understand the politics behind speaking about this, and I understand them pretty good. Before we even get to speaking about it, there's a few things that's going to be said about this broadcast. They're said about Dad Talk Today all the time. We hate all women. We're here to bash women. That moms too. You're going to hear that thousands of times. And in the whole time that Dad Talk has been out, there's never been a time that I said it can't happen to women. There has never been a time that I've said all women or that we hate women. I am a father. I got 4 girls. I am a married man, and I have a beautiful mother, and I am so appreciative of her. I lost my dad 9 years ago, and since then she kind of stepped in. But there's been many times in that period, when I was facing hardships or that other things occurred, that she said, I really wish your dad was around, because mom and dad both play an important part in a child's life. But that does not take away from the issue at hand, this bias that we see against men in family court or, with false allegations and everything. We talk about the Believe Her movement. Everybody remember Me Too. There is so much that comes against men, and there are millions of dollars to keep it this way. There's a reason why domestic violence happens equally. Some say more to men, but you never see him on a billboard. You're never going to see a men's domestic violence shelter. It's because it doesn't fit the narrative. And the media loves stuff like this. Let's be honest, because it sells. It sells. I mean, as you see now, the part that gets me is this has happened to millions of men over the past, 4, 5, 6 decades. And it's been pretty much a quiet topic until it happens to a celebrity, until Jack Sparrow or Edward Scissorhands comes into play. The part that the media is not showing is the amount of fathers that have lost everything, or men. You don't even necessarily have to be a father. This isn't family court in Johnny's case. But there's other parts of this, and this is the reason why I speak. There's men that lost their lives over this past year. And guess what? I believe there's people that are responsible for this, but because he was a man and it played out the way he did, or it played out the way it did, there's people that are walking free right now. So why do I want to come on here and talk about this? Because it's dangerous. Your kids' futures, your grandkids, their futures depend on it. And for any of the advocates out there that like to say, there's no bias, or these experts and I really call your professionalism into question when you do this, because you're afraid to address the topic where it needs to be addressed. There is a movement. Now, people might say, now let's look at this. It seems like Johnny's doing okay in this case, right? But in all honesty, he already lost. He already lost something that he's never going to get back. His reputation was already put in the mud, okay? He lost opportunities that he's never going to get back again. And for a while, it was believed. Those recordings really did save his butt. But now that it's coming out and everybody is really starting to see what's going on, again, guys, I want to bring you back to the normal everyday dad, the normal everyday man that faces this every day, every single day. And then you put this thing called social media. Now, what is social media and how does that play into this? I can get pictures of somebody's past or stories, put any little thing I want to about somebody online. And the sad thing is there's going to be people that believe it. This movement, the Believe Her movement, is something that's been going on, again, for decades, guys. We talk about it. I'm going to talk about it again because I want to make sure that this point gets across. There is something called the Violence Against Women's Act. The person that sponsored was Senator Joe Biden at that time. He is now the president of the United States. What does this do? It has this criteria that says 90% of the time, man's going to be the abuser. He's going to use the male privilege, blah, 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 blah. It gives millions of dollars in funding to these groups that basically is attached to this whole Believe Her thing. It was based off of what's known as the Duluth model, the power and control wheel. This is it. It was based off of that right there. That's why if he gets hit and he calls, he's the one that's going to get arrested. So many other things play into this. So why hasn't anything ever been done about this? It's because I believe we as a society have become weak men. They talk about toxic masculinity. We are suffering from a lack of masculinity. Men, weak men, not getting out there and making sure that their voice is heard. Men that go around putting down other men, hoping to get some attention because that's what they've been told to do. This is what you got to do to be a gentleman. This is the way. Happy wife, happy life. All of this stuff has been banged inside of your head. The TV shows that always make the man the bumbling idiot, or that needs her to tell him what to do, or because he doesn't know how to be a parent, or he's a deadbeat, he doesn't love his kids. It is so ingrained in our society, guys. It might not be a popular thing, but I'm going to talk about, this movement in particular, the ones that are wanting to get solutions behind changing this. Shared parenting and a lot of this other legislation is talked about sometimes. While I think it is definitely 100% needed, when you got stuff like VAWA that's in office, guys, I'm telling you, the game doesn't go away. They change how the game is played. It's going to continue happening. And as long as you got that bias, when she talks, the accusations come. And just because there's 50-50 doesn't mean you're immune to this. You're going to have some consequences for false allegations, because if you don't, this is just going to continue to go on. I think the reason that this is resonating with so many men out there, you see like the horrible acting that's going on, and you see the accusations using things from the past to paint who he is right now. And you're like, man, this looks like my situation. There are so many guys out there right now that have these stories, and they think that nobody understands what they're going through. Nobody can understand what I'm going through right now, or what it's like to be in this situation, when the reality is there are so many of you out there that your situation is almost identical to the one beside you. But you don't know about that because you haven't been gave a safe space to talk about this. You haven't been gave a space where if you actually say, hey, I've been a victim of this, where somebody is going to believe you. So why do we shy away from this and not go into these topics? This is the perfect time to be going in these topics right now. And I know a lot of times guys get a little hesitant to do this because they're afraid to speak. But guys, get in there. Let people know, what was your situation like? I want to see it down in the comments. Have you experienced something like this? Is there something about this case that you say, that is very similar to mine? You'll be shocked to know that there is a very big community out there of men just like you. Okay. Now, when this pertains to women, let's get on that for a second, because again, it's what they do. If they can put an accusation, oh, he hates women, or he's women bashing, or moms too, and all that. He's saying it doesn't, blah blah blah. As long as they can make that accusation towards us, they try to cancel us. It's the cancel culture. If we can put that out there, it cancels anything he's about to say because I don't like this topic. Get him to stop talking about this topic. That's what they do. And that's not what's going on. Any of the ladies that are here that have experienced these situations, I want you to understand, it's the ones that are doing stuff like this that are taken away from your voice, because there's so many of them that are doing it. If you are a true victim, the ones that are doing this is taken away from your voice. That's why we need you here. I get comments on the page a lot. This is dad talk. Why are you here? There are some really good women that follow these pages, guys. A lot of them, moms to sons who are going through this right now, or sisters or family that have seen. One of the people that we really need to start hearing more from is stepmoms. Ones that married into a situation and they're seeing what their husband is going through in the previous situation. A lot of these women don't get the respect that they deserve. They really don't. But we need you here. I'm glad you're here. But when we speak about this, we're just speaking truth. That's all it is. They want to shut us up. We're not going to shut up. We're going to continue talking about it. Right now is the time to do it. Okay? Guys, you got to stop being afraid. You got to stop being afraid. What? They're going to censor us. They're going to cancel us. But you know what? That means you just get out there and you keep doing it, guys. You just keep doing it. There was a lot of people, this Will Smith situation. And I know I'm talking about celebrities, but these are situations that everybody is familiar with because they're the only ones that usually get airplay. So we're going to talk about it. There was a lot of people that thought this whole Will Smith situation was just a farce. That didn't really happen. They staged it and everything. I don't think so. I remember watching that last year, that whole red table talk. And here is a man sitting here hearing all of this stuff that has been done. But if you saw those emotions on the face, now it's being told to me in public, you cheated on me with a guy that was friends with our son. Okay. I'm hearing about this entanglement. He really was emasculated to the fullest extent. But he did what he was told to do. He stood by her side. He continued to let it happen. Now, when that happened at the Oscars, I believe it was a breaking point. And you see what these guys going through this and not speaking up is doing to him. I believe he hit that breaking point, and the result was Chris Rock. Chris Rock took the brunt of something that he had nothing to do with. It was the innocent G.I. Jane joke. I'm telling you, man. Have you ever been in that relationship? Again, I want you guys in the comments, talk to me. I want to hear how similar the stories are, but maybe you got some details that are a little bit different, but I want to hear from you. You've had this situation where you was in a relationship. There were some things that maybe she cheated on you, lied on you, or done these things. Men will find reasons. They will find excuses to give for them for why this person did this to them. Instead of getting a full scope of the relationship, saying, you know what, I shouldn't be going through this. I'm not going to go through this. Or trying to work out the actual problem. I'll just find a way to excuse their behavior so we can continue on with it rather than having to face the situation. I know I'm guilty. I'd rather just try to move on rather than have to face it because you don't like conflict. But the problem is when you're in a relationship with somebody like that loves conflict, guys, you're not going to escape it. The only way you're going to escape it is if you get out. And even then, especially if you get a child with somebody, the conflict doesn't go away. And if there is a period in time where there is some peace or that you think you're going to get away from it, they will find something to bring up. Let me go through this encyclopedia of your past that you talked to me about when we was in the relationship, whether it was when you was a child or something that you did when you was a teenager. I got to bring this back up. See, this is who they are. This is who they are. They take this little snapshot. And I mean, right now, Johnny is just this drunk that was doing all these drugs, violent and everything. That's a snapshot of what they do. Go through your social media, find pictures. It's what's called smear campaigns. And even though I think Amber is doing a really bad job right now, it's not always that bad of acting, guys. Some of these people can be very convincing. We talk about gaslighting. Have you ever met the person? This is the one that I think is a little bit dangerous. I was watching one of the psychologists break this down, talking about the body language that they was watching in this case. And they talked about one of the most dangerous liars out there is the person that puts a little bit of truth in it. They can tell 99% truth, which gets you second guessing everything. Like, oh, they are telling the truth. What it may be if it is me. They can leave it at 1% that completely turns it all the way back around on you. And you're sitting there questioning all of your reality. What is wrong with me? Maybe this was me. It gets your head confused. And that's how they get you off your guard. And more of this stuff comes in. You have to be very mindful. People that do this, there's a reason that people believe them. They are very convincing in their ways. And I know that sounds evil. It does. People right now are thinking we're talking conspiracy theory. It's not really like he's making it out to be. There was a turd on the bed. A turd on the bed. There was a recording saying, nobody's going to believe you. You're a man. Go ahead. Let the judge and the jury hear that you are a victim of domestic violence and that you are a man. Nobody will believe you. They know that. And if he had not had that recording, he had already lost his job. Nobody was wanting to associate with him. His complete reputation was in the mud. Had he not had that recording, what she was saying would have probably been truth. There's a lot of men out there that don't have those recordings. And when they are faced with this inside of this court, inside of this political sphere that has VAWA and the Duluth model and all these things that come against them, they're fighting a losing battle. So many people, when you're going against a custody battle, the first thing they tell you, You just need to go to family court. You just need to get an attorney. You just need to do this. Never mind. It could be as simple as, let me see my child and let's work this out. No, 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 no. You are already facing a toxic situation when you have to go to family court and sit in front of a judge, an attorney, or a jury, people that have nothing to do with your life. They've never met you before. You have to go sit in front of them and convince them to allow you to have time with your child, with your flesh and blood, a person that you help create. You have to go talk to strangers. You are already facing a bad situation when there is a person that makes you do that to have time with your child. But that doesn't get spoke about, does it? The family courts know this, but they need conflict. They love situations like this. Think of how many psychologists and attorney hours and everything that has went into one of this case, money that could have been spent towards children or retirement or everything else. But no. Let's keep that conflict going, because as long as we get that conflict going, there is billable hours. We love that system. We love that billion-dollar industry. We love what it does. And it's entwined in all these different places, guys. It is just as deep in politics as it is the family courts. You know, one of the things that was told to me, because I'll be honest with you, when I very first started going through this, when I got the idea to do Dad Talk Today, I was green. I was learning about the problems pretty much for the first time. I'd heard about the bias and, what men go through when they go to family court, but knowing all the things about Title 4D and the way CPS and the politics operate, I was an idiot. Okay. So I was learning, and I never tried to make it out like I was anything that I wasn't. I went and I learned from other people. Give me this knowledge so I know how to get out there and get involved. I might not know, but I want to learn. And we have learned along the way. One of the things that was always told to me, make sure you don't mention dads. Make sure you don't mention men, because if they hear that you are talking about men, or if they hear that you are talking about dads, nobody's going to listen to you. There's never going to be any solutions. I was told that non-stop. Do not mention dad. I was told to take the dad out of dad talk, because people are going to look at us as biased. We're going to be misogynist. We're going to be all these things. Do not talk about dads. And I let some of that get in my head a little early on. I tried to kind of watch what I said, but it's really hard to speak about an issue when you can't tell people what you think. And I believe it's the reason why, again, that we are where we are, because too many people were afraid to go and say what needs to be said, including you psychologists, including you experts, including every one of you that know this field. You know the statistics, but you say the opposite because you're afraid they're not going to like how you say it. What happened? We started going to more of the political conferences. And over time, I started injecting a little bit more of the fatherlessness. Fatherlessness became the way that I talked about the issue, because everybody knows about fatherlessness. They hear the statistics. It's quite common. They know about the juvenile rates and the suicide and the teen pregnancies. They can quote you those statistics. They don't talk about the family courts and how that plays into it. But fatherlessness was at least a topic. So I started doing it like that. And over time, I started realizing all I'm doing is carrying on a nice conversation that never goes anywhere, because we're not addressing the issues, because we're being afraid that we're not going to be PC enough in this world to actually get some cooperation. Eventually, I said, screw that. I don't know if you guys saw like the last conference we went to, but man, just called it for what it is. Half of our attorneys are legislators. This is what's going on in family court. They know about the millions of dollars that they're making. They are very actively involved. There's part of the reason that we don't ever get any real solutions. If they do start to offer solutions, we got to put these little loopholes. We got to make these little points right here to where we can make sure that it's not solid, okay? We still got a way to wiggle out of it. And I started calling that out. I'm not afraid. I talk about the fatherless issue. I'll talk about how family court definitely plays into that. And so far, I've done pretty good. There's people that don't want to ever talk to me again after that, but that's okay. If they don't want to talk to me again after this is presented, or if you can't have a discussion around this, then I don't want to talk to you. If it offends you when I talk about the importance of dads or the issues that men are going through, I don't want to talk to you. You're afraid. You're there for other reasons. The truth is the truth. And that's the way we need to present it. So insert all of your women bashers, moms, too, all of that you want to. Because I don't let that affect me. And if you're not getting that, guys, you are not hitting the nail on the head. I'm telling you. There is many people, this thing is considered, I call it a community. Some people call it a movement. But it is full of these advocates and these organizations and this movement that talk about it. But the second that you start going in there, they will attack everything about you. Everything. I am 100% convinced that there is a feminist infiltration on this thing that we call a movement. People that are disguised as advocates. But the second you start saying something they don't want you to, we got to find a way to get him down. He's making too much progress. There's been everything like the one that came out not long ago. I made $80,000 in the month of October. That was several different organizations were saying that. We didn't even make that last year, guys. I should have. I went to every state in the United States besides 43 states. I went to so many political conventions, rallies. We went to where anybody needed us and we showed up. So that hard work should be rewarded. I still have a family. I still got people to take care of. I still got to make a living. But I went out there and I sacrificed, my family sacrificed time with me for me to do that. But that's what they do. Anytime that you finally get a conversation with somebody that we've been trying to get conversations with for years, you never hear a hand clap or, yes, good job. How can we talk it down? There is more of that than you guys know. More of that, I'm telling you. And the only way that you're going to spot it, you got to get involved. You got to get involved. I'm not going to tell you a person or that you've got to be the person to get behind dad talk, that we are the answer. No, I'm not going to do that. There is organizations that are out there doing a great job. I tell you what, National Parents Organization does a great job at getting legislation passed. They've done it in several states right now. But you do not have to be behind an organization. You just got to get out there, not shy away from the problems, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, but be out there, be fearless. And the more that you start making noise in the direction that it needs to be made, the more noise is going to come back at you. But again, that goes back how that movement entwined. Feminism, guys, has really played a very big part in this. Politics, woke politics, is involved in that feminism. The domestic violence is combined in all of that with CPS. It is just this one big rabbit hole. And for one person to sit down and in layman's terms, dumb it down and say, this is what's going on, it's almost next to impossible because there is so much that is going on. So much. And they plan on keeping it this way. And as long as men don't speak, as long as men don't organize. Now, these conversations, they might not be that pep talk that makes people want to get out there, do these rallies and stuff like that. But we've got to be honest and tell you what's going on. That is a problem, guys. That is a very big problem. It's the reason why you're seeing that play out on the screen right now on every news channel. But what? They're not talking about it. We've got to talk about it. We've got to make it a discussion. We can't be afraid of the cancel culture. We can't be afraid to stand up for what we believe. Why? Because you're doing it for your kids. You're doing it for your grandkids. You're doing it for the future of mankind. There is no money. There is no job. There is no cars. There's none of that stuff out there that you've been told, wife, that is going to give you this happiness that people have, is this perfect portrait that you're supposed to get in life, because one day when we die, that's gone. But this is the purpose of you dads, of you men out there, that when you die, this purpose lives on beyond the grave. This is the one thing that we can do for our kids and grandkids, that when we're not here, it is still fighting for them because we stood today. And that's something I'm proud of. I'm going to tell you, it's there's sometimes that I'm just like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Because the one thing I can say about that Believe Her movement, when they come together behind an issue, man, they will fill those streets out there. Ah, man, they will. It gets crazy. It gets crazy when it comes time for men to do that. They're usually at work. They're usually at work. When it comes to grants and the money that gives them the resources that they need to organize, there's more than you can count. What do we have? Nothing. I think 3 domestic violence shelters for men in the country. I could be wrong on those numbers, but I think that's what it was last time I heard. But think about how it was so downplayed, again, when they found out it was her that was hitting him. Almost sliced off his finger. And then the one part that really, man, just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up, after they was talking about slicing his finger off and hitting him with the bottle, she's like, you always run from problems. He's like, Amber, you about cut my finger off with a bottle. I went in the next room to get away from you. But Johnny, how do you ever expect us to work out our problems when you run from them? I was almost taunting him, taunting your manhood. How many of you have been through that? They start, oh, you're not a man. You're not a real man. Or he's a man, but you're not a man. They start talking about your private parts or any little thing to try to knock down that pride. Because why is that so important? If I can get your confidence down, then I can get to you. They'll call it ego. They'll call it everything because they want to take that confidence down. Because once that confidence, once that masculinity is out of the picture, you're basically a puppet. They can put you on their hand and tell you what to do, what to say. Remember the Oscars? I saw a puppet. That's what I saw. And this is just real stuff, guys. You know, I'm not going to sit here and make a long episode out of this. I do believe right now, again, like I said, is the time to get out there and start speaking. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Cancel culture is going to happen. No matter how careful you are, no matter how PC you are, no matter how you try to dodge, it's going to come after you. They're going to make accusations. They're going to do every little thing they can to shut you down and shut you up. That's when I want you to smile and start talking even more. You're not shutting me up. You're not taking that confidence away. That's not ego. That's confidence. That is a person that believes in the mission that we're doing here. That is a person that believes in the importance of masculinity, that believes in the importance of the nuclear family. And that's the thing, guys. That's why men are going their own way. They're falling into these traps. They're falling into the bias. And, you know, even when these situations do come out, society is so quick to point it back towards men. So if you can prove without a shadow of a doubt this person was crazier than bat, you know what? Well, you should have picked better. It really was your responsibility. And you know what? There's a lot of truth to those statements. There is. But sometimes you don't know who they are until they're in your house, until it's too late, and until there's a kid on the way. But it's so easy just to say, it was still your fault. We're not going to talk about all the things that is happening right now, the abuse, the allegations, anything. You should have picked better because you are a man. You see that, don't you? You see that. Society cannot accept the problem at hand here. So be fearless, guys. Don't let them shut you up. Don't let them cancel you. One of my favorite sayings in the world, I think it was Steve Jobs that said it. Those who are crazy enough to believe that they can change the world are usually the ones that do. I'm telling you guys, it's time for us to get crazy. And so the PC police don't come to cancel us. Well, he said they got to get crazy. Crazy enough to believe that you can do it, because I've been told ever since I started this, you will never reverse this. It will never happen. You're fighting a losing battle. It's here. It's going to stay. And you might as well give up. Weak men. Weak men. I don't believe that. If I didn't believe this could change, I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be doing this. This isn't a career. This ain't giving me retirement or paying my bills or anything. I'm here because I believe in it. I'm here because I knew what it was like. Being a dad told me that, telling me that I can't have a relationship with my child unless I go through family court, unless I go get this attorney, unless I go, and then being taunted about it. They will taunt you. Don't you dare try to come against me. We need to be talking about toxic femininity. Did I say that right? That's kind of a tongue twister, femininity. Why don't you ever hear that one? Because that's what this is. That's not here to say all women, but a very specific bunch. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of it is here in America. I hear about it in other countries and stuff as well, but it, again, is so ingrained in our politics and everything else, guys, that it's a big battle. But I'm here with you guys. I love my daughters. I love my mother. I love my wife. I am the man that I am because I have those strong women behind me. They don't fall into those traits. I know many other women just like that. Great support system. But I also know the type that we're talking about here, this Believe Her movement. I've also stood over fathers that were killed. John Mast, 3 years, false allegations. Lost his children. Lost a lot of money. The good thing about John is he had one of the most beautiful families behind him that supported him and kept his fight going. But if he had not had that, he was told, it's very similar to this situation. An accusation against him that he hit somebody. He took the tape to court and said, "Judge, watch it for yourself. I didn't do the things they said I did." And the judge would not watch it. John pled guilty to get the lesser end of that stick, guys. Goes to another court a few months later. New judge wants to watch the tape, sees it, and says, "You didn't do any of the things that you was accused of. You are exonerated." What if John wouldn't had that judge that wanted to open that back up? He had already pled guilty, so he was guilty, right? But he was forced, as a man, to take that which he was being offered. He lost time with those kids that he will never get back. And in the end, when he finally did get exonerated, after spending all the money, going through the trials, doing the trip from North Dakota all the way to freaking Idaho and back. And let me tell you something, we did that last year. You're talking about taking up the better part of your week just to see the kids for a few hours. After doing all of that, lost his life. Killed when he showed up in the parking lot to get his kids. But for those 3 years, that Believe Her movement, man, that's the consequences that we are seeing. I know there is going to be sides where there is going to be men that do things that they shouldn't. This Caden's law. If Caden's mom and dad are listening to this, I want to tell you, I cannot tell you how sorry I am for what happened. No, not her dad. I think the dad was the perpetrator in this. I cannot tell you how sorry I am for what happened to your daughter, but believe me, this is happening on the other side too. They have taken that situation, one that gets people emotionally responsive, and tried to paint everybody with the same paintbrush. You cannot do that. There is not going to be a law out there where we can paint one side of this with a paintbrush. It's not men versus women. It's not women versus men. It's us against decency and filth, guys. It's corruption. The only way to fight back at this is that word that everybody likes to use, that buzzword, equality. I want to see both of you as equal. We'll take it from there. We will take the facts that are presented from this, and we will go from there. But until that point in time, we are going to treat you equal. Even if there's been an accusation, you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Stop making these men guilty until proven innocent. Equality. Remember that saying, though, guys. As I leave you here tonight, felt led to do this episode. Make sure that you're down there talking to each other. The Dad Talk Today support group is a great place for you to come and connect with other people that are going through this situation. You are not alone. You are. If this hasn't done anything else but just show you how much you are not alone. Your cases are very similar. Get in there, speak. But again, believe in this. Going back to that saying, those who are crazy enough to believe that they can change the world are usually the ones that do. It's time to get crazy, guys. The world needs to start believing us sometimes too. men too. See you next time.
Hey everybody, Eric Carroll here. Thank you for tuning in to another exciting episode of Dad Talk Today. While we fight for you, we would ask for you to please help fight for us. Like, subscribe to our channel, and ring that bell so you get notifications every time we go live. There's also Super Chats, patreon.com/Dad Talk Today, and other ways you can support our channel. Thank you for being here, and we will see you next time.